Over the years, I have had the pleasure and really the privilege of traveling all over the world, both in person and virtually, to meet with literally thousands of senior executives in the commercial space. So, heads of marketing, heads of sales, of success, of revenue. And as particularly in the last several years, I've had the opportunity to run a thought experiment or a thought exercise with all of those individuals. Again, thousands of them around the world. And I want to tell you a little bit about that thought exercise because I think it's incredibly instructive for all of us. So it goes a little bit like this. So I simply ask them, I call it the moment of empathy. And I ask these heads of sales, heads of marketing for just a moment to figuratively sort of take their sales hat off or their marketing hat off and put their buying hat on. So I ask them to think about inside of their own organization across the last 6 to 12 to 18 months, think about a moment and a time when they were with their colleagues engaged in a large-scale purchase on behalf of their own company. So they were in the buying side, on the buying side rather than the selling or marketing side. And I asked them to think about, all the different people that were involved, all the steps that it took, all the challenges they faced. And then I simply asked them this. Now, if I were to ask you for one word, one adjective to describe that entire experience inside of your own organization, what would that word be? And I will tell you, over about 8 years now of running this exercise with thousands of people, I have quite literally heard one positive word one time. All the rest, thousands of times, over and over again, it was all negative. Long, hard, frustrating, awful. One person said landmine, and I said, hey, that's not an adjective. And he said landminish. So that became my word for a couple of years of, B2B buying is landminish. But I think the one that stands out to me most was a chief marketing officer in Chicago who looked at me and said, you know what her word was? Her word was literally, I never want to do that again. That was her word, all smashed together. One word, I never want to do that again. And you could see the look in her eyes as she was reliving this experience as she said that word. And you could almost viscerally feel the pain that she felt as she took herself and put herself back into the place of all of that frustration. And her take from the whole experience was, you know what? I never want to do that again. And by that, it wasn't buy that solution. It was go on that journey with my colleagues. It is so long and so hard and so frustrating and so landminish that frankly, it's just kind of exhausting. And that raises, I think, a really interesting and really important question for all of us on now if we put our sales and marketing hats back on to simply ask, what do we do when we live in a world where the first word that our customer thinks of in buying not just our solution, but a solution like ours, when that word is, I never want to do that again? That's a really tough place to be. This is why B2B selling is so hard, because this is the environment that we're selling into. It's not that our customers don't want to buy our product. It's that they don't want to go through the journey, the process that results in the purchase of our product because it's frankly awful. Now, here's where I think it gets especially interesting and incredibly instructive, because that's the first of the two steps in this exercise. Because the next question I always ask is this. Okay, so it's long, it's hard, it's frustrating, it's awful. All right, so here's a question. How much of that pain, how much of that frustration, how much of that awfulness, how much of that landminishness was the result specifically of the supplier selling to you, and how much of it was just your own company getting in its own way? And what do you think everybody says? Almost to a person, you know what? It was just our own company getting in its own way. It's our own internal bureaucracies, our own internal silos, our own internal conflicts, or the changes in priority, or all the different things that happen inside of our own organization. And we're all convinced that it's our company is the thing that's actually making it hard to buy. And you know what? We're probably right, because we're all convinced that we all work at the world's most dysfunctional company. And I've come to believe that we're all correct. You know why? Because we're all human. And when you put human beings together in a large complex group like this and ask them to engage across all of these silos and all of these potentially conflicting, if not fully matched priorities, we're going to struggle because it's hard. Okay, now, what do we do with that? Well, first of all, I think there's some really interesting things to think about. Yes, it's hard. You've seen the spaghetti bowl diagram that I've shared with you guys over the years and that we produced while I was at Gartner. Let's think about this not so much just as a challenge, but as an opportunity. And there's three ways I think that we can think about this. Let's think about this through the lens of customer experience, and then of sales, and then of marketing. And there's a couple lessons I think we can each take away, or we can take away from each of those perspectives. First of all, customer experience. So much of what happens in the world of CX, which is an incredibly important and powerful function, group of people, team perspective, and there's a lot of great work being done in CX. But the one potential limitation of CX, and maybe just by design, to be fair to them and those people involved in that function, is that CX is largely, from a supplier's perspective, an inward-facing exercise. In other words, yes, it's customer-centric. We're asking about customers and their buying journey, but we're specifically asking customers about their buying journey with us. So we map out all the touch points with our own organization, and we look for those points of friction. Where is it more? Where can we make it more effortless to buy from our company? Where can we speed things up, make it more easy to use, whatever it might be? And I think those are great things to solve for. But let's think about the 80-20 rule. When 80% of the pain that customers feel is actually a result of their own company and not our company, then maybe in the CX world we could extend the reach of our efforts to begin to ask not so much how is it hard for customers to buy from us, but how is it hard for customers to buy inside of their own organization. And that brings us to sales, and a point that we've talked about extensively in the past around this idea of buyer enablement or being a guide or a Sherpa. The opportunity, I think, for all of us in sales is to essentially play this role of frame making, specifically around decision making. How can we take our customers, figuratively, at least by the hand, and guide them through their own internal decision making processes? Help them understand who in their team should they talk to? When should they bring them in? What are the questions they're likely to have? Who is more of an occasional stakeholder versus a full-time stakeholder in this purchase decision? And does that matter? And how do I manage that? And what are the questions I need to think through as a result of that? We know these things because while the customer may be going through this buying experience for the first time or the first time in a long time, we see this happen with other customers every single day, and we can share that perspective. And working with other customers like you, here's 3 things you probably want to watch out for as you go on this journey, because I don't want you to feel like you never want to do this again. Certainly not with us. We'd like to be the one partner, the one supplier where you actually feel good about this buying journey. Let's map the buying field and let's actually clear it out. Help our customers not just avoid the landmines, but maybe anticipate them and diffuse them before they even become an issue in the first place. And then finally, for marketing, this I think really gets interesting because the degree to which customers tell us they don't want to talk to a sales rep at all, or they want to get as deep into the buying the buying process as possible before talking to a sales rep, well, then a lot of that journey, a lot of that landminishness is going to happen, at least in facing us, through digital channels. They're going to get frustrated about their own internal processes, but they're going to do that when seeking help through a digital channel to us. So I think we need to think about the digital experience that we create for our customers. And it may be, in the digital side, it's largely about content, putting content on a website. There's a topic for a future breakdown. Keep an eye out for it. But for now, let's think about what if that content was under banners, things like feeling unsure, click here for the top answers to your top questions, or not sure where to start, take the diagnostic exercise, or looking to herd the cats inside your own organization, click here for a stakeholder strategy or management strategy. We can actually sort of, with our language on our website, you think about the jobs to be done approach, like the job that I've got to get done inside my own organization, part of a purchase, is avoid the landmines, or at least anticipate and figure out where they are. So let's put that kind of language on our website to help our customers find the information that they need to anticipate and diffuse those obstacles that they're going to run into in their own organization, oftentimes in ways they haven't even fully appreciated. This is our opportunity through both human channels and digital channels to help our customers understand why is buying going to be hard inside of their own organization, and how are we there to help them make it easier. And that is how we make B2B buying just a little bit less landminish and help our customers say, maybe, just maybe I could do that again.